Man, we talk about some weird stuff when it comes to this football team, you know? I cover all three teams in town. And between the Steelers, the Penguins, and the Pirates, the amount of drama that gets discussed, and by this I mean mostly on the outside, it dwarfs the other two. And as a result, not surprisingly, it usually goes too far. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer, as I just mentioned, daily shots of the Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Steelers versus Bengals is a Saturday, 8 p.m. kickoff. And to pick up on the various sentiments being expressed on the South Side this week, one would think that they're setting the stage for, I don't know, like a serial soap opera or something, as opposed to a really, really significant football game. And to an extent, that's life with the Steelers. That's life in the high-profile magnifying glass world of the NFL. And that's life when you only play one game every 7 or 8 days or every 4 days or whatever it is, because there's just so much time for jibber jabber in between. Now, does that mean that all of this stuff is made up or blown out of proportion? Actually, no. In the most recent case, in fact, it's been the players, 100% on the players, to have started up all this fuss about the one guy they don't trust or they don't like or doesn't have enough want to or whatever. Not on any single occasion did such information come from any of the various players, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith, etc., because of a question that was posed. It was always just volunteered and blurted out. And then in the case of Deshaun Elliott and a couple others, it just got repeated. So this isn't some sort of media concoction, nor are the fans responsible, obviously. However, the fans really like it. I don't care who denies that. The fans really feast on this stuff. Maybe it's just the more casual fans. Maybe it's the ones who, don't necessarily get all the intricacies of the sport, but they sure can understand a personal conflict. So it'll be easier to point to something like that and discuss it and debate it and go back and forth with their friends and whatever else than it is to wonder how it is that Russell Wilson's handling it whenever, so-and-so opponent puts together a too high safety look and Arthur Smith doesn't scheme somebody open and that sort of thing. Okay. Fine. Great. But let me tell you that on the list of things that I'm worried about, first off regarding this Bengals game, and then regarding whatever the playoff game will present, how these guys get along or how much they'd rather see, let's say, for example, Cam Sutton being replaced by Beanie Bishop, that's not going to crack my top 100 list. It's just not. If that actually was in the Steelers' top 10 problems, they'd be in awesome shape entering this weekend. They really would. But it isn't. And if you want to get real, in almost every case when you're examining something that's gone wrong, and it has gone wrong, this is 3 losses in a row being outscored 90-40. I don't care who you're facing or how many days you had it squeezed into. That's gone wrong. A lot of it's gone wrong. So you got to take the stuff that everybody enjoys talking about and just set it off to the side and look at, say, for instance, given that the Cincinnati secondary, while it's improved since the last time the Steelers faced them, it's still not exactly very good. How are you going to attack that? Who's going to attack that? Heck, you can get overarching about it. You can say, isn't it still just completely crazy that Omar Khan entered this season with the lowest paid wide receiver room in football, that he didn't even bother to bring in bona fide challengers for the WR2 slot, And then from there, once he finally got around to acquiring Mike Williams, then either Arthur Smith or Mike Tomlin or both decide they're not even going to use him after George Pickens gets hurt. Believe me, the people who run the Steelers, would love for you to talk about, Cam Sutton, Beanie Bishop, and what did Tomlin call it? The bickering or whatever. They'd love for you to talk about that instead of what I just brought up. But that's a real problem. That's going to be a problem Saturday night. Not using Jaylen Warren, not using Pat Freiermuth, not having any answers for the struggling offensive tackles. These are tangible things. These are real things that have to be addressed. And now, it's not that they're running out of time. They've run out of time. All that's really left now are on-field performances. Do you really believe that the Steelers have gotten the most out of their defensive front by just eliminating the blitz from their game plan? I don't know, but I do know this. You're not about to institute it now. This team is built exactly the way it's built defensively. You're not about to see more than 4 or 5 guys going at Joe Burrow Saturday night. Why? I don't think they could do it if they wanted to. You could stunt, Patrick Queen or more likely an Elandon Roberts and say, hey, go after the quarterback, get back there, make sure you've got your other assignments in order. But then that becomes your de facto blitz. But that's not an answer to this. The Steelers don't have a methodology in place right now or the habits formed to bring the house. That's an actual problem. That's a real thing. The secondary was a strength for much of the season. The secondary has also shown that it can't really do much of anything in zone. But they keep trying it, and they keep doing it, and Burrow's going to eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Saturday if it looks the way it has in the recent past. Real thing. So the number of narratives, real narratives, that should be affixed to this team right now, let's just say that there are a few too many for comfort. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
Today's J1Q comes from Steve, who asks simply, DK, how about some offense in the first quarter? Okay, well, there's another one to add to our list. How about a touchdown on the first drive? That hasn't happened yet. Not even against the Bengals the last time. Touchdown on the first drive and offense in the first quarter, I think, would be predicated on, and pardon me for how awful this sounds, but just plain old caring that you score. One of the patterns that's very much in play, the Arthur Smith offense, is that everything feels focused on the fourth quarter, on that 15-round fight that Najee Harris referenced earlier in the season. Everything about it. You're not trying to score in the first quarter as much as you are beat the other guys up a little bit, run up the body count, have Najee hit them a few times. And sure enough, early in a season, it worked out that way. At least it did at the end. And one of Smith's main points, he did this again yesterday in relation to a couple of different questions that were specific about the offense, he would come back with, did we win? Well, yeah, but dude, you're also allowed to score early. You're allowed to do different things early. It doesn't all have to be about the general pummeling that eventually allows you the opportunity to be a real NFL offense in the final 15 minutes. And that's not to let Mike Tomlin off here either, because Tomlin himself has repeatedly, this season more than any season he's been head coach, downplayed stuff at the beginning of a game. And this is, to repeat, a new one for him. And that leads me to believe that they're all kind of on the same page here. If we get the football and we bludgeon them early, they're not going to want any part of us late. Okay, to which I would counter, if you put up a bunch of points early, maybe they're not going to want any part of you by, I don't know, halftime. Because they'll come out after the intermission, look at the scoreboard and see that it's 21-0 and go, wow, we are totally hosed here. So the first thing that I would like to see toward, I don't even want to say opening drive touchdown, because that feels excessively ambitious. How about just first quarter offense? We'll stick with the way you put it. The first thing I'd like to see, and in fairness, there was a little bit of this that began to get executed against the Chiefs, is to mix it up. You know, they got Pat Freiermuth involved right away. That was a positive. Threw to George on the first drive. That was a positive. Found ways to utilize Calvin Austin sooner rather than later. That was a positive. Moved away from Najee toward Jaylen Warren. That was a glowing, neon-lit Mount Washington-sized positive. As I was pointing out in the opening segment today, there's not a whole lot of time to do things too differently. But what we're talking about here isn't some sort of sea change. I believe that it's more a mental change than anything else, and I believe that the mental component in this case would be that of Smith and Tomlin. Get points. Get points early. It's okay. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one tomorrow.